The title is The Silent Power Observation as a Generational Super Skill. Interesting. So the
Go
title,
again. Yeah.
so here's the question for this. Are we losing the skill that builds emotional intelligence? So is that a yes question? Is that a no question? And some context.
How would we define emotional intelligence? Because
Yeah.
there's so many different definitions. I want to make sure that there's some meeting of meeting of the minds, that we're talking about the same idea. I have to get up again. Sorry.
Yeah, no, your camera is good from my side. I see it as fine.
No, it's the recording, but it's recording.
Okay. Yeah, guys, like I was saying, this is the second episode. The first episode, we kind of just talked about getting the things out there conceptually, the concepts. This is just we're gonna get through no matter what, and we're gonna look back at this and laugh and smile and say we told you so. That's what I
It's
want to
not
do.
that bad. I look back at what? It's okay.
Yeah,
it's, it's
exactly.
okay. We
So
just
you
have to
said
apologize to the viewers for my getting up every like 3 times now. But I just want to say something here. We've been working on this whole design for some time because we decided not to pay an external business like subscription so we can stream. So Roydell did most of the work. I just come up with some of the ideas, but most of the design and all the animation that you see happening, Roydell did that all from scratch. So all of it. It's
yeah,
we
all
just
of
use
it.
open source. Well, you didn't do every single thing, but we just kind of thought about a particular set of open source software, and so in
Software is that
our
that's
room,
even that's an understatement. That we did so much work.
yeah,
Like I'll
a
tell you
lot,
right
a
now,
lot,
the to balance
and
the sound
AI.
and to figure out AI and then to really make our
Wow,
messaging clear. And also, this is a podcast that is happening. We're not in the same room, right? Most of the podcasts that you see where people are doing, it's they put on a camera, they have two mics that attach to that, and they're in the same room. That's all that it is, right? So we have so many things in store
a
that
lot of
we,
technology in
yeah,
it. Yeah,
a lot of
a lot of
different
technology.
stuff,
And we'll
right?
show it. We'll definitely share what we have learned. And I don't want to. We're not going to segue into this. We're going to keep it 100 what we're doing. But one of all the people will share with our Patreon and all that. They will definitely share all of the new things that we've learned while we're doing this, because a lot of people, one of our goal is to create value for our listeners, right? So our viewers and people who are here is for us to grow together in technology, AI, trading, and blockchain technology. So we're going to go through a lot of those things: framework thinking, systems approach, ways to solve complex problems. So these are some of the things that Rodal and I will definitely help our community with when we get there. This is
Thousand
just the
percent,
first.
thousand
Yep.
percent. Oh yeah, gotta share again for you guys that are new. Here's the foundation and framework info card. Right, pause the video, check that out, and
The most important
moving on to the short for this one. This is Robert Greene. For those of you guys who don't know, author of 48 Laws of Power and Mastery. So let's hear what he has to say on this one.
skill that you can have in the work world, in the business world, and in life is knowing how to observe people and not be so wrapped up in yourself. If you become an astute observer of the people around you, you will have this, the game will be much easier to manage, right? Important skill that you can have in
Okay. All right.
So
Did you
becoming
just did you
as
choose the thing that you know that I'm gonna agree with? Because all of these things, this just sounds so. Okay. Go ahead.
are you is astute observer. That was the thing. Is that like a superpower to be able to be in a room, understand what's going on? I think you have a I think of a lot of moments like that. For example, I think you mentioned a party one time that you had been at, and just watching what's going on and seeing how certain people were moving there. All of a sudden, you leave the party and something happens and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So to
happens
being
a
have
lot.
all that, enjoying yourself and enjoying your time, but also having that awareness. I don't want to say
Awareness.
self-awareness,
Yeah,
but awareness to be able
awareness.
to
Yeah.
see some subtleties that people are not really picking up on. So I think it is somewhat of a superpower. And so
Yep.
I'll start off by asking you this. Did your generation, we'll go generation first in this side. Did your
Okay.
generation actively train social awareness, or did you just pick it up by being around people?
If you grew up in a, I would say pick it up, but I will expand on that. So I can't speak for everyone, but I can speak for most people who have a similar experience or a shared experience. Um, it depends on where you grew up, right? If you grew up in Jamaica, it, I was born in Kingston, Jamaica. Kind of grew up in Kingston. We were They sent us in the countryside of um, um, St. Andrew, which is not Kingston, but it's very close, right? And so I came back down to Kingston. If you grew up in Kingston, self awareness is self survival. It's right. You have to be aware of what's going on. Depends if you're live in certain areas in Jamaica, right? And I'm sure that is the same for a lot of people who grew up in urban areas, right? So that's my answer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yes, because I would say, oh, you know what? I changed my answer. It's along the same line, but I'm gonna add a little
I
more
I think
emphasis
it's
on.
true though.
I
I
think it's true because if you went outside, we'll say be careful, right?
Yeah,
Like
but you have self
like
awareness from
yeah.
and again, the younger generation, especially the ones that are like 18, 19, that they don't play outside. They don't know what outside is.
Okay,
They don't.
that's true.
My generation kind of. I was the last generation born in '95. Last generation to know what it was like pre-internet, to have actually had gone to your friend's door and knock on your doors to ask them to come out and be outside and
Oh,
playing all these games.
okay,
So
yeah.
they do
Wow.
not. It's going back home. It's being on their internet, calling their three ways or FaceTiming friends. Like, but in person, they got to put themselves out there. They don't know how to do that. A lot of them,
I see.
and I do
I
speak
see.
on that from an academic perspective as well. When I was an academic advisor for the university I worked for, the COVID years, nobody was able to go out. That's when everything was shut down. And so, as far as schooling, their grade 11 and grade 12 year was essentially online and in home. And then the world opened back up and they went to university and now in this super social setting. They didn't have the skills to cope with to cope with life and the awkwardness and
Wow. Yep.
being able to advocate for yourself. Like when you went out before, pre COVID, pre internet, you had to put yourself out there. You had to be okay with a certain level of rejection and so forth. And I think the reason why I related to this is that I don't know. Actually, I'm kind of torn because when I think of self awareness, I feel like the
Wait,
elder
wait. Is it self
generations.
awareness? Wait,
That's the
is it
thing.
self? Is it self awareness or is it awareness? Because I think what he's talking about is it's
Awareness.
awareness. But it's not just awareness, like you're aware and you're the beneficiary or
Mm-hmm.
you're benefiting from the awareness. He's talking about. I think don't we can listen again and see if I'm right. I think he's talking about the ability to stop thinking about you and start actually focusing on others and be
Right.
aware of what they're going through, as opposed to you just being aware. But the result of being aware is to protect self. I think he's talking about like being aware of others and kind of use that as
I
as
agree.
some kind of
I agree. And here's the thing. I would say about awareness. I feel like the younger generations are more self-aware. I don't know. That's something I'd have to debate, but I think the older generations have higher awareness. But I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah,
This is what I'm initially thinking, and the reason why I say that is the
I think you're onto
self-awareness,
something. Yeah.
self-awareness, for example, I don't think any other generations the older generations did not look at themselves as much as our generation has. With their number,
Yeah.
with the selfies and the mirrors everywhere and the videos, we've seen ourselves more than any generations have ever.
Is self-absorption, is it being self-absorbed the same
Right,
as
conceited.
self-aware?
There's
Yeah,
conceitedness
that's
and
still self-aware. Because I think self-awareness also recognize that you're being self-absorbed,
right.
and maybe you wouldn't be. So I don't know. I think there's a
But
distinction between self-absorbed, looking at,
and
right.
right, you're right,
I'm
you're right.
not making a judgment. It's not a judgment call. I'm just looking at it like a science, like in a scientific way. Is it the same? That's a question
No,
for you.
no, it isn't. It isn't the same, but
Okay.
it's why I think we're more self-aware too, is because each aspect of our life is broken down. So in one way, as much as it can be a positive thing, the self-confidence of kids have gone down because you're looking at social and you're looking at yourself like, man, I don't measure up to these things. Everything is tailor-made. Like, for example, the idea of blush, for example, the women who have the red makeup and stuff is now advanced to the point, but it's actually off a biological understanding that when someone
Yep.
has red, right, it's more attractive,
Yep.
they're in the
Yep.
conversation and whatever.
Yep.
All of a sudden, even as far as the mannerisms of what is considered conservative, like how they would hold their hand to their chest or certain things, body language studies will tell you, right? A woman that's more reserved, if you're reserved, you're not feeling too confident, you close up. And for the man, to be able to, it's inviting in certain ways and certain
Yep.
biological things like this, right? Now the younger generations have reverse engineered all that. Social media, TikTok, all the trends, this, that, every single aspect of what they're doing is manufactured.
Yep.
So they understand
Yep.
that how they're being perceived in any room and how to project themselves in a way from their shoes to
Okay.
their
Yeah.
clothes to their walk to their hair
Yeah.
to saying
Yeah.
even videos, knowing
Yeah.
politically what's the correct thing to say and how to not say this. And
Yeah.
I believe that
Okay.
we can't even say certain words
Oh,
anymore. So I wonder, I'll say it like this.
that makes sense.
You say one thing wrong, you're ready to be canceled. So you need to
Yeah.
understand what room you're in and what words you're saying, how you're saying it, how you
That's
look, who
self-awareness.
you're looking at. When you go to the gym, can't be looking at anybody else or you get caught in the camera and right, like you're operating at a certain level of awareness,
Yeah.
self, but I
Or,
don't.
but yeah.
So
Okay. Let me push back. Let me push back on that like, a little bit,
yeah,
because I think there's some air gap between those things. But I will concede that you have to be aware in the general sense of the word aware, that you acknowledge something, right? That I'm in this space and I need to do certain things to garner a particular type of reaction and all that. But how I would push back lightly on that is that really self-awareness, or am I, you can tell me if I'm doing it, am I inventing or going back to my generation where when somebody said self-awareness, it seems like it has a positive connotation. There's something positive about being self-aware,
I agree.
where what
I
we're
agree.
seeing, you're aware, but it's something self-absorbing and unreal, fake. And this again, it's not I'm not, so don't put anything in the comment, right? I'm just looking at this from a viewer, a spectator, like.
No, it makes sense. No, I get
So
it.
that's
Like how
where
much,
where would we,
yeah,
yeah, or would
how
we,
aware are you of your surrounding? If right, if you have, you know, if you have 10 cameras, right? Surveillance room, you have 10 cameras and 6 of them are pointed towards you from different angles. How aware are you of your surroundings and what's happening outside? I kind of look at it like that from a self-awareness, right? You can, if you're focused on you and you're aware of you and how you're perceived in all these different ways, you're
are you still
effectively
aware?
you're effectively taking away of some of that awareness that you could have
Yeah,
elsewhere on you and how you look and how you, right, you're taking away from that. So there is
yeah, yeah,
a scale, if you will, right?
I think it's a gradation. Yeah, I was about to say that, right? There's a weight, so it's not like a something like a discrete thing, something that you can count. I think it's more of a degree, like it's more of you're more self-aware than you're not, because I think like this is good for the generation gap, and I think people my age might tend to agree with me somewhat. Where when we say the person is aware, usually we kind of think that is there's some good things, like he's aware, so he has certain awareness, so he doesn't say things to hurt others and so on. Would he still be aware if he knows, he is acknowledging, right, that is hurting somebody, or just focusing on him or herself
Mm-hmm.
at the expense of others? Like, for example, if you go if you go out right now, right, if I were to just go downtown right now, I will see two people walking or sitting in a restaurant, and both of them are on their phones. Yeah, the girl is looking at her face and the guy is checking out whatever. Is that awareness? You know what I mean? Like, so as
And
you
you
rightly
would say
said,
that
it's
she's not self-aware. In that
right.
case, referencing the surrounding, that she's not aware of her surroundings, which is outside of herself, because you're saying that
Yeah,
she wouldn't be doing that
yeah.
because it's,
But
I don't know.
but
It,
but a person who is self-absorbed, is that person self-aware? Because there's two
I
things
think
we're talking
that's,
about here.
yeah, you're right.
We have to make
That's the
sure that we're
difference.
talking about awareness and self-awareness, and then we start talking about, if you're self-absorbed, does that mean that are aware, right? You see, so definitions, we'd have to talk about what do you mean, to make sure that we're talking about the
Yeah.
same thing,
And
but
I would
just
say you're aware of
colloquially.
yourself on what you want,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because the
yeah,
selfish
okay,
person, they always know
yeah,
what they're going to, right? Like, how can I benefit in this situation? They're utmost clear, right? I don't want this. I
okay,
need you to be over there. Right now, you're in my space. I need my thing. You know what? It's it's
yeah,
a disregard for everyone else, but it's showing the highest level of awareness to you.
okay, yeah, you're
I don't
right.
know, but
I
I'm not
think that
I'm
makes
not
sense.
condoning it. It's some,
It's
but
not, yeah,
but
it's not clear. It's not
but what
clear.
we
Yeah,
can,
yeah.
right? But what we can agree on is
So
that,
people, just please say,
go
just
ahead.
help us out in the comments, if you have a better, clearer, more, clarity, can add clarity to what we're trying to what we're trying to do in this one.
Right. I agree. And I think, yeah, so I think it is, I think we can both agree. I think all generations in this can agree that there is something to be said about being in a room, kind of getting over yourself and seeing what's going on, right? Obviously, how you act on it is important. But I think what he's actually, let's just hear it one more time. I just want to
Most
hear it.
important
Yeah,
skill that the most important
most
So,
important skill.
yeah,
skill that you
So
can have
most, it starts off with
in
right. So let's see here.
the work world, in the business world, and in life is knowing how to observe people and not be so wrapped up in yourself. If you become
Learning
right.
how to observe people and not being so wrapped up in yours, which is around
Yeah.
what,
So
yeah,
yeah. So he's not talking about the people who are aware of themselves, that self-absorption, and there's, yeah, that in my generation, and I think I don't want to say as if there's a mutually exclusive thing in my generation, but it's not in yours or some other generation. By the way, I'm Generation X. Okay. So yeah, in my generation, I think when we use the word aware, just the word aware, like you're not aware, we have this thing, there's something else not said. There's an assumption that if you're aware for a good reason.
that's
And it's not,
interesting. You
yeah,
know why
it's
it's
not,
interesting? Because I only think of awareness as a negative. And
I think you're thinking about
I think there's a
self-absorbed.
cultural and a black thing as well
Yeah,
too, growing up within Canada, in my experience. Because if I in the
okay,
times I'm thinking about being aware, and the times that I've heard it in the context where um, you're too smart for your own good, right? Like this
Yes.
kind of
Yeah.
awareness that I've come across. It's always, and I only till later on, like as a kid, I start to piece together what that I understand that now to be, or how I see that now is different than how I understood it then. I didn't think anything of it as a kid. But I think anytime somebody mentions awareness, it's almost as if they have an intent and you're aware of the intent.
Oh, that this is definitely a generation gap. I think, in my opinion, people always say, "In my opinion," because they try to shame you for defect to say anything against it. In my opinion, it's my opinion, and anyway. But in my opinion, I'm going to do it. So don't say anything negative about my opinion. It's mine. Usually we're talking about. No, it's not. I don't want to give it too much weight, but sometimes we'll say that person is very much aware. What we're talking about is like the opposite of absent-mindedness, right? You should be more aware. What we're saying, so aware usually mean in a good sense, right? And so even sometimes we'll say, again, it could be cultural. So I don't want to extend my cultural connection and kind of maps it onto everybody else's idea. But I think, so I'm using the word I think, or when my generation said, he's so aware, it's usually, the connotation is usually a good one, because it's just a position that you kind of, like we're comparing that with absent-mindedness and just not thinking and even dumb, right? If you're allowed to say words like that anymore. So if we say is self-conscious, right? It's a similar word, but I think self-conscious rather than self-awareness. But self-awareness, it's in itself usually is a positive connotation also, right? All of those things are usually in my generation.
I'm curious to know.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm curious to know if my generation also sees it as the self-aware has more of a negative connotation. Self-conscious, I've heard, right? But I think that's an interesting one. So we'll leave it to the comments for that. As far as generational trigger, what I had here, younger generations grew up with digital dialogue, texting instead of talking, emojis instead of expressions, ghosting instead of confrontation. Ghosting meaning like you text somebody.
What's ghosting? What's that?
Yeah, so it's a term
Like,
to say that you're pursuing somebody, usually in a romantic way, but it could be friendship as well. But you're pursuing somebody, you have a friendship, and then you just stop texting. You just go dark 40, whatever they call it.
Okay.
You don't answer. They don't hear from you, right?
Okay.
You don't know what happened. They didn't explain it.
Okay.
So our generation is more likely
from
to
the context I could from the context I could kind of figure out what it is, but I didn't know that what it actually means, because I've heard that before. And from the context, you kind of it's not good, like ghost, like disappear, type thing.
And we're like,
but I didn't know it's actually in a romantic setting in general.
Yeah, and usually in the pursuit on like the dating apps and stuff like that, if somebody ghosted you, okay, you guys were talking, you thought everything was good, you thought it was going well, and they just, blocked you. Now you don't see the profile, all of that stuff.
Do they put a ghost profile? Like they should put
I'm in a happy relationship, so I got to make sure that that's clear, that people know I'm not on that. But for what I've been told.
Okay.
So
right.
we're likely, it's the younger generations are more likely to ghost instead of confrontation, right? Going to see somebody and say, hey, which I actually agree with. And I think that's, I think it's fitting for foundations and framework. I believe.
Wait. 1 second. Why did you choose confrontation as opposed to dialogue? Or,
right.
You
So
understand?
This is what I'm saying. This is the generational
why is it?
trigger, right? Where.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of how the younger generations would see it. It's like,
rather
ghost versus having confrontation. The dialogue is actually more, and this is what I was going to get to. I think the elder generations, I like elder better than the elder generations, understand, and this is something I really want to get into, we'll save it, but I believe the elder generations understand what kind of conversations are meant for what kind of conversation venues, if you will. My generation either ghost you entirely or have these long conversations over text. That's not a text conversation. That's a phone conversation. There's conversations to have in person, like face to face in the house. Conversations where you guys got to go out somewhere and not be in the house and have that conversation face to face. There are phone conversations. There are texting things, conversations to have over text. Some conversations aren't texting conversations. Some conversations, if you have a dispute with somebody, like especially man to man, I would say, if I have a problem, call me. If you think something's off, don't text me right? There's certain things like that I can definitely.
I think because you're born 1995 though, because as you said earlier, remember the medium of communication, crazy. Like even sometime I'm talking to Kayla and she's texting me, and I just call because I don't have much time to be consistently looking down, right? But the mode of the communication is different. I understand why you would say that. I think you're kind of an old soul also. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
You do a lot of things that your generation wouldn't normally do, like read real books and all that kind of, right? Like, so you're kind of different. So you have to be careful with that one.
Yeah.
Because I think for people, I've seen Shante and Kayla and other young people text.
Yes.
Like
no.
books.
So don't get me wrong.
Like I see Kayla read a book on her phone.
Oh yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying though. That's
on
what
the phone, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
we're saying
crazy.
the same thing. But I'm making a different point. What I'm saying is that's exactly what we do. I'll give you another example to show you I understand. Perfect example. One of the profs went into the staff room and was complaining about their students texting their entire class. All the time they were texting. And so they were texting. And then one day she got mad and grabbed the phone and said, "Stop texting in my class." And the student was scared, like worried and right, startled would probably be the better word. And she's like, "Stop texting in my class. It's rude." Right? I put a lot of time into this stuff, and that's the idea, which we agree with. Somebody puts a lot of time into their lectures. You're sitting close to the front of the class, and you're just texting. That's disrespectful. You know what?
Yeah.
The student she said, "Yeah, I was taking notes on my phone. Like
right.
I text faster on my phone than I actually do on a keyboard." It makes sense, right? Because you look at the generation, that is their tool. They didn't have a typewriter. They didn't have the mechanical keyboard that we have. We still use, gamers use it, but they didn't learn to do that. But they did with their thumbs, and that's how they type. And some people type really fast, so that's how she takes her notes. And so that's a generational difference, right?
Yeah, there are some differences. Yeah,
however,
there are differences.
So I agree with that wholeheartedly. My generation, more likely.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is there's a lot of those conversations that are not meant for text. And I'm making a point to my generation that we need to understand what I believe the elder generations understood is that certain conversations are meant for certain venues. You had something to say that was bad news to somebody, you had to go pull up on them, see them, go to their house and say, "Hey, can I come in? Right? Can we talk? Can we sit down? Can we talk about this?" Not all of them are meant to text. And we would text the whole thing saying this happened and this, and then we have to wait for someone else to reply. No, that's a phone conversation. If you can't make it a text conversation or in-person conversation, or some of those conversations is, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Let's go sit down somewhere." Right? Or, "Hey, let's hop on FaceTime." Like there's more now. There's more modes of communication. But some of the traditional, we have to stop. We have to understand what is better for which, because I feel like, especially now where our connection with people is starting to become more difficult or more lost. Somebody said this, and I'll wrap it up here for the foundations, and I'll let you give your last word.
Okay.
When I went to the boarding school there, Sansa College, good experience, great experience in a lot of ways. One of the this girl that was in my class, she had her final paper in philosophy, and her paper was about technology, and her thesis was that technology now, modern technology, has made us closer to the people far and far from the people close to us.
That's so true.
And I thought
Yeah.
that was quite the insight back then, and
Yeah,
that's
that
kind of
was,
what I'm getting to here, right? Which is,
yeah.
what did the older generations, where that wasn't so much of so intrusive, what did they understand, and how can we stop that distance from the people close to us? And I think one of those things is understanding that certain communication are meant for a
Yeah.
certain
That's
type of, you get what I'm saying. So
bars. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I have to do this thing again.
yeah.
1 second. Yeah,
So yeah,
we
you
may
want
have
to
to
have
do some.
yeah.
It's gone.
No, yeah, it's gone. It's gone.
Okay. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have the
Um.
last, talking too long on
As
this.
usual. As usual. I'm a closer. Michael Jordan. Even that should change. Kyrie. Right. And anyway, somebody else that younger than Kyrie. Um. I think even that's going to change. And that I'm talking about is what is going to be. What do you mean by
Move a bit.
close?
Yeah,
Okay, go over here.
yeah, yeah. You're good.
Yeah, what's the I think we're gonna define what we mean by close again, because now we're using like augmented reality and AI and all that. It's gonna, I think closeness is gonna feel like you're there, because right now we're gonna come up with better, not better, but it's gonna be as close as possible to you being in front of a person. But I agree with you. They're still gonna. That doesn't mean that they're not gonna be the same different mode of communication, or we have to choose one over another. But I think very, very soon you want to talk to somebody and you can be in. Remember what we're doing in blockchain? We're looking at the metaverse.
Mm-hmm.
That's here. That's here right now. Much, much better. Where you're gonna even feel the person touch you, tactile responses and things like that. So I think even that's going to be changed very, very, very soon. I think most of these things are already there, but the application, as we normally say in our conversation, the future is here. It's just not well distributed, right? So a lot of stuff. But I agree with you that we need to select the different mode of communication in all communication. I think older people like me, we do things like that, but I think it's out of necessity because a lot of us can't text. I recently found something out like I didn't know.
That's interesting.
The older you get, even when you try to use an iPad, like your finger has more magnetism in it than I do. So a lot of older people, when they're touching a button,
is that a fact?
You can just touch it. Yeah. You can touch it, and when you touch it,
let's check that.
So we have to touch it more. Like the older person may have to touch it a couple more times. So yeah, do some research. You can do some research on that one. Yeah. So that's what I heard. Some older person was saying that. I'm saying, really? So now I start touching things with more force, right? So and if you touch and it doesn't work, then you either think it's not working, so you get frustrated maybe, and you just say, call me, right? Or they're trying to type and they have to take too long. I'm an anomaly for that because I type everything, but I don't type one at a time. I use the thing that you can just drag your finger all over, and I don't use mouse and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit weird like that. So I don't think I represent my generation in that regard. I even you use mouse. I haven't used a mouse in like maybe 10 years. Ever since there was touchpad, I've never used mouse ever.
Yeah.
So I'm weird like that.
Let's see.
Yeah, let's see. Oh, we'll put a AI person in here.
How do you want to say it?
No, you asked the question. I don't want to know that. I already know.
Magnetism in finger.
Does an old person finger? I don't know. You come up with a sentence. You want to find it out. I don't want to find it out anymore. Yeah. Go.
Gotta be. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that older people have to touch it more forcefully or something like that. The magnetism.
Yeah. I heard something like that as well too. Yeah. Anyways, that's a deeper one. We'll get into that because this is
What we need to do. What we're gonna do right there. We're gonna put a AI person there, and then we can say, "Is that true?" And the AI person is supposed to talk back to us and stuff